The family barbecue was going perfectly until Nathan started his usual performance about my dead-end banking career. I mean, seriously, Dad, Nathan was saying, gesturing with his craft beer toward our parents. Kyle's been at that bank for what, 6 years? Still doing the same entry-level stuff. Meanwhile, I'm closing million-dollar real estate deals every month. I continued flipping burgers while Nathan held court on the deck, regaling everyone with stories about his latest property developments and luxury client acquisitions. At 31, he'd built a reputation as the most successful real estate developer in the county, specializing in high-end commercial properties. Kyle just doesn't have the vision for real money, Nathan continued. Banking is for people who are afraid to take risks, playing it safe with other people's money instead of building actual wealth. Mom nodded approvingly. Nathan's right, honey. Maybe you should consider something more ambitious? Nathan could probably find you a position with one of his development companies. I'm fine where I am, I said quietly. Nathan laughed. Fine? Kyle, you're 28 years old and still living in that same apartment, driving that same Honda, working that same basic bank job. When are you going to do something with your life? I like my work. Stamping loan applications and counting deposits? Come on. That's not a career, that's just existing. Dad joined the conversation. Nathan's got a point, son. Your brother's built something impressive. Maybe it's time to think bigger. The thing was, I had thought bigger. Much bigger. But Nathan had never bothered to ask what I actually did at First National Bank beyond his assumption that I was a teller or loan officer. To him, I was just his unsuccessful little brother who chose the safe path instead of the entrepreneurial route that brought real respect and money. My phone buzzed with a work notification. Emergency loan application requiring immediate executive review. The applicant, Nathan Mitchell Development LLC. I excused myself and stepped inside to check the details. Nathan's company had submitted an urgent application for an $800,000 credit line extension, citing temporary cash flow adjustments needed for ongoing project completion. His personal financials were attached as collateral backing. The numbers were troubling. Nathan's development company was leveraged far beyond what his cash flow could support. His personal accounts showed a pattern of massive deposits followed by immediate transfers to cover escalating debts. His credit utilization was at 94% across 7 different business accounts. According to the application, Nathan needed the money by Monday or 3 major projects would default simultaneously. I returned to the deck where Nathan was explaining to Uncle Jim why traditional banking was becoming obsolete. The future is private lending and investor partnerships, Nathan was saying. Banks are too slow, too conservative. They don't understand modern business needs. What about when you need traditional credit? Uncle Jim asked. Nathan waved dismissively. I've got relationships everywhere. When you're doing the volume I'm doing, banks compete for your business. I could get approved for any amount I needed. Any amount? I asked. Kyle, I've got more credit available than you'll make in your entire banking career. $1 million credit lines, private investor backing, international development funding. That's what happens when you think beyond counting other people's money. I looked at his credit application on my phone. He'd been denied by 4 other banks in the past month. Nathan, I said carefully, what would you do if you needed a large credit line approved quickly? He smirked. I'd call any of my banking contacts and have it handled within hours. Real estate development requires relationships that someone in your position wouldn't understand. Pie position? Entry-level banking, Kyle. You don't deal with serious money or important clients. You probably don't even know what a $1 million commercial loan looks like. Actually, I'd approved $17 million commercial loans in the past month alone. As Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending at First National Bank, I oversaw all business credit applications over $500,000 for the region's largest financial institution. But Nathan had never asked what my actual job title was. So if you needed $800,000 by Monday, I said, you're confident you could get it approved? $800,000? Kyle, that's pocket change in my business. I could get that approved with a phone call. The application on my phone showed he'd already tried that phone call with 6 different institutions. Hold up. Saturday evening, I reviewed Nathan's complete financial profile at my home office. The picture was worse than I'd initially realized. Nathan Mitchell Development was operating what appeared to be a sophisticated Ponzi scheme, using deposits from new development projects to cover completion costs for previous projects. His personal finances showed a lifestyle funded entirely by continuously increasing debt. The 3 projects that would default Monday weren't just business setbacks. They were criminal fraud charges waiting to happen. Nathan had taken client deposits for construction projects he couldn't complete, used that money to cover debts from previous projects, and was now desperately seeking credit to avoid prosecution. My phone rang. Sarah from our fraud investigation unit. Kyle, I'm reviewing the Nathan Mitchell application you flagged. This looks like systematic fraud. Are you sure this is your brother? Unfortunately. He's been kiting checks between accounts, falsifying project completion reports to investors, and using client deposits as operational funds. If he doesn't get this credit line, he's facing federal charges for wire fraud and embezzlement. How much has he stolen? Preliminary estimate? Around $2.3 million from various client accounts over the past 18 months. Sunday morning, Nathan called me directly. For the first time in years, his voice lacked its usual confident swagger. Kyle, I need to ask you a favor. What kind of favor? I need you to put in a good word for me at your bank. I've got an application in for a business credit line, and it's taking longer than expected. You said you could get any amount approved with a phone call. Pause. Yeah, well, sometimes the process takes a few extra days. You work there, right? Maybe you could ask someone to expedite it. Nathan, what exactly do you think I do at the bank? You know, banking stuff. Customer service, paperwork, whatever. The point is you're an employee. Maybe you could mention to a manager that I'm good for the money. How much do you need? $800,000. It's just temporary cash flow management. I'll have it paid back within 60 days. What happens if you don't get it? Another pause, longer this time. Kyle, I really need this loan. Can you help me or not? I'll look into it. Sunday evening, the family group chat was buzzing with excitement about Nathan's latest major deal. He'd told everyone he was about to close on a $15 million commercial development that would set the family up for life. Mom, so proud of Nathan. Kyle, you should learn from your brother's success. Dad, Nathan, when you're running your real estate empire, maybe you can find Kyle a position with real growth potential. Aunt Margaret, Nathan's always been the entrepreneur in the family. Kyle, maybe it's time to follow his example. I looked at the criminal investigation files Sarah had sent me. Nathan wasn't building a real estate empire. He was running a complex fraud scheme that was about to collapse spectacularly. Monday morning, I arrived at the office early to prepare for Nathan's loan review meeting. As senior VP, I had final approval authority on all commercial credit applications over $500,000. At 9 a.m., Nathan arrived for his appointment, dressed in his most expensive suit and radiating the confident charm that had convinced investors to trust him with millions. He was shown to Conference Room A, where he waited for 20 minutes before I entered. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. I'm Kyle Patterson, Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending. I'll be reviewing your credit application today. Nathan's confident expression froze. Kyle, what are you doing here? I'm supposed to meet with someone about my loan. You are meeting with someone about your loan. Me. But you work in customer service or something. No, Nathan. I'm the Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending. I approve all business credit applications over $500,000. Revelation. Nathan stared at me across the conference table, clearly trying to process what was happening. Kyle, I don't understand. You work at this bank. I've worked at this bank for 6 years. I've been Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending for 3 years. I oversee a $200 million commercial loan portfolio. But you never told the family. Nathan, when have you ever asked what I do for work? You've spent 6 years telling everyone I'm in an entry-level banking position, without ever asking what that position actually was. I opened his application file. Let's discuss your credit request. You're seeking $800,000 in emergency funding for Nathan Mitchell Development LLC. Kyle, wait. Since you're my brother, maybe we can work something out privately. Mr. Mitchell, I need to inform you that this application has been reviewed by our fraud investigation unit. We've identified several serious concerns about your financial statements and business practices. Nathan's face went pale. Fraud investigation? Your company has submitted falsified project completion reports, manipulated cash flow statements, and appears to be operating a Ponzi scheme using client deposits to cover operational expenses. Kyle, you can't be serious. I'm your brother. Mr. Mitchell, I'm required to inform you that we've shared our findings with federal banking regulators and law enforcement. Your application is being denied, and all existing accounts with our institution are being frozen pending investigation. You can't do this to me. I'm family. I am. Nathan, you've stolen over $2 million from your clients. Your 3 current projects are funded with money you took from previous clients. That's wire fraud and embezzlement. Nathan tried a different approach. Kyle, please. If I don't get this money, everything falls apart. The whole family will be humiliated. Think about Mom and Dad. I am thinking about them. They're about to find out their successful son is a federal criminal. But you could approve this loan. You have the authority. Just this once, help your brother out. Nathan, even if I wanted to help you, which I don't, approving a fraudulent loan application would make me an accessory to your crimes. Nathan stood up abruptly. This is insane. You're going to destroy the family over some paperwork technicalities. I'm not destroying anything, Nathan. You destroyed it when you decided to become a criminal. Kyle, I'll pay it all back. The business is solid, I just need time to reorganize the cash flow. Your business is a criminal enterprise. You don't have any legitimate cash flow to reorganize. At that moment, my assistant knocked and entered. Mr. Patterson, the FBI agents are here for the 10 a.m. appointment. Nathan looked confused. FBI. Yes, Nathan. Bank fraud is a federal crime. Agent Morrison and Agent Chin are here to discuss your case. The 2 agents entered, showing their badges. Mr. Mitchell, we're with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. We need to speak with you about your business practices and client accounts. Agent Morrison looked at me. Mr. Patterson, thank you for flagging this case. Your brother's operation is connected to a larger investigation we've been conducting into real estate fraud schemes. Pie brother. Nathan looked back and forth between us. Kyle, you reported me to the FBI? I reported suspected criminal activity to the appropriate authorities. That's my job. But I'm your family. Agent Chin spoke up. Mr. Mitchell, we've been monitoring your activities for 3 months. We have evidence of wire fraud, money laundering, and embezzlement across multiple states. You're under arrest. As they read Nathan his rights, he kept looking at me like he couldn't believe what was happening. Kyle, stop this. You're senior VP of the bank. Tell them there's been a mistake. There's been no mistake, Nathan. You're a criminal, and I'm the person whose job it is to catch criminals like you. The agents led Nathan out in handcuffs while he shouted about family loyalty and how I was ruining everyone's life over a misunderstanding. Resolution. The local news broke the story that evening. Prominent real estate developer arrested in $2.3 million fraud scheme. The investigation revealed that Nathan had victimized 47 different clients and investors over 18 months. Within hours, my phone was exploding with messages from family members who'd spent years praising Nathan's success while dismissing my career. Mom. Kyle, the news says Nathan was arrested for fraud? And they mentioned you work at the bank? I don't understand what's happening. Dad. Son, can you explain why your brother is being charged with crimes? And why didn't you tell us you were a bank executive? Aunt Margaret. Kyle, the news said you're senior vice president? How long have you had this position? Why didn't anyone know? I called Mom directly. Kyle, honey, I'm so confused. The news says you helped catch Nathan? But you work at a bank doing paperwork, right? Mom, I'm senior vice president of commercial lending. I've held this position for 3 years. I approve millions of dollars in business loans every month. But Nathan said you were in customer service. Nathan said that because Nathan never bothered to ask what I actually did for work. Neither did you. Kyle, we had no idea you were so successful professionally. My success wasn't a secret. Your lack of interest in my life was just very obvious. The trial lasted 6 months. Nathan was convicted on 14 federal charges and sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. His assets were seized to provide restitution to victims. assets that included the luxury car, designer clothes, and expensive watch he'd used to impress the family for years. During sentencing, Nathan's lawyer tried to argue for leniency based on family circumstances, claiming that Nathan's brother worked in banking and could help monitor his financial rehabilitation. The prosecutor responded, "Your Honor, the defendant's brother is Senior Vice President Kyle Patterson, the bank executive who identified the defendant's criminal activity and cooperated with federal investigators to build this case. Mr. Patterson has made it clear he wants no contact with the defendant." After Nathan's sentencing, the family dynamics shifted completely. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know about my career, my responsibilities, my professional achievements. But it was too late for genuine interest. Uncle Jim called to apologize for years of comments about my lack of ambition. Aunt Margaret sent a long email about how proud the family was of my unexpected success. Dad suggested we have lunch so he could learn more about the banking industry. I politely declined most invitations. After 6 years of being treated as the unsuccessful brother while I built a legitimate career in commercial banking, their newfound respect felt hollow and opportunistic. I continued my work at First National Bank, eventually being promoted to Executive Vice President of Commercial Operations. My department processed over $500 million in commercial loans annually, and I took pride in protecting both the institution and legitimate businesses from fraudulent operators. Nathan served his full sentence. When he was released, he called once to ask if I could help him get a fresh start in business. I told him that people with federal fraud convictions weren't eligible for commercial banking relationships at any reputable institution. Some family bonds can't survive the truth about who people really are underneath their public personas.